Hey guys, this is FNGR, and it's been a while. I've experienced a brief amount of burnout, and I think part of that problem is this format has become a bit too repetitive. I want to try something new, so we're doing a tournament format. I'm going to wheel out 2 sets of 16 entries. That's 32 total between 2 videos. You will choose one of 2 entries. Just for example, if I show keyframe opposite of voice of reason, you will write down keyframe where you will write down voice of reason. The winner is the one who gets the most votes and moves forward. I will play a sample of that content creator's work. Please click the link to the original video if you enjoy that piece and leave a like and feedback. With these 16 entries, you have 8 choices. You may not abstain from any of these if you choose for your votes to count. Free reminder, Silverquill has opted out of Analysis Daily, and we've chosen to exclude KP from this venue for the time being. By the way, why yes, we are voting now. And yes, you will need to watch the whole thing to know who you're voting for. Please write down the name as opposed to Analysis A or B or 1 and 2. If you ignore this, your vote will not count.
The biggest problem is very easy to see in this episode. It's the solution to the problem, how all this was resolved. Maybe people didn't see it the way I did. Maybe it made me lose faith in Rainbow Dash for the first time. You see, when a character is presented and it gets hated on, either it's a misunderstood character or this is the role they are meant to play. And what I hate more than anything is seeing one of my favorite characters acting like an idiot. That only gives fans more motivation and more fuel to say, "See, she is a terrible character, objectively, da-na-na-na." It's hard to fight an uphill battle like this.
Well, considering that Rainbow Dash is just a walking hybrid of the awesome and tomboy tropes that basically turned her into this one character other than Pinkie Pie that everyone yells shut up at.
Pot, meat, kettle.
Well, your point is pretty weak, Toonie.
And very popular ones at that. Many YouTube channels, websites, and blogs have found massive success in reviewing and analyzing various episodes and content in and around the world of MLP. Many people wait eagerly for these pieces of analysis and review to get a further insight and opinion on the episodes they enjoy.
Analysis and reviews are 2 different things. Specifically, analysis is an in-depth examination of an object or idea in order to spark conversation, while reviewing is more of a surface-level look at something with more potential for entertainment. For instance, an analyst will tend to take an element from the source material and break it down in order to find a specific interpretation.
Again. Ugh. Applejack's day off. Okay, I give you that much. You managed to find a believable, relatable flaw for Applejack to work through. Something the writers have been struggling with since Applebug season. Performing tasks in an unnecessary complicated manner. This could actually have worked. The message of this episode is actually fantastic. If only the pacing of this episode would not have been such a boring drag, coupled with completely over-the-top silliness with AJ doing the chicken dance. Seriously, who wrote this? Why am I not surprised to see Neil's name in here?
Viewers have forgotten about the very blatant and obvious development of Fluttershy's character we've seen since the beginning of the series. She has clearly become more assertive, self-realized, confident, and less afraid of the outside world in general. Look at Scaremaster, for example, where Fluttershy actually embraces the idea of a prank, where she gains the courage and tenacity to participate in Nightmare Night, stepping farther out of her comfort zone than anybody was likely expecting or thought possible. Look at Flutterbrudder, where Fluttershy is taking the dominant role and fixing her brother's crisis by providing a dose of much-needed tough love, while also sticking up for her parents when they did not have the emotional fortitude to do so.
So, didn't Lily Pete ask nicely not to be included in Analysis Daily? She did, Jeff, and she also attacked the Rift. My word, are you still on about that? You bet your sweet cinnamon roll ass I am. That's right, bitches, we're dragging Lily Pete kicking and screaming out into the community, whether she likes it or not. Tumblr's not gonna like this, it isn't.
Rainbow spends an entire 22 minutes trying to get the rest of the Wonderbolts to stop calling her Rainbow Crash through a massive number of ridiculous stunts that would make an average episode of Seinfeld seem creative. At the end of the day, all she really had to do was respond to being called Rainbow Crash with "stop doing that." Now, while in storytelling there's an unspoken rule that many practical and sensible solutions need to be written off in order for there to even be a story, there's a natural stopping point when the solution is this overwhelmingly simple. All Rainbow has to do is tell the Wonderbolts to stop calling her Rainbow Crash, a basic basic, direct approach seen in Buckball season and the start of 28 Pranks Later.
You'll be walking funny for a week. Specifically, I'm gonna drill you about why I don't like Discord. Now, if you've listened to my drunken rambling videos, and if you haven't, don't, then you may have surmised that I have a certain fondness for those characters in this show who have seen the error of their ways. At this point, we've got no shortage of antagonists who have turned over a new leaf, but if we're just talking about full-on villains, then we've had 3 major reformations: Shimmy, Glimmy, and Discord. So, I am a massive fan of the Equestria Girls franchise, and there are a lot of reasons why, but if you asked me to pick one, I wouldn't hesitate for a second to point you towards Sunset Shimmer.
I am not sure the episode really knows what it wants here. I assume Starlight intended the sentence as a joke, right? But why was she making the "yes, right, I totally was joking" face after Twilight calls her out on it? Was she not kidding?
I don't think it's that. Starlight is trying to turn her terrible actions into humor to make them seem not so bad. She told the joke expecting Twilight to laugh, but Twilight didn't catch the joke, so she panicked and got nervous about it.
Sounds reasonable. Still a bit of awkward writing.
Both emotions usually discourage people from trying anything again, which only serves to leave them spiritually unfulfilled and miserable. Realistic compromise is an important skill to learn. When combined with creative problem-solving skills learned from previous episodes or life experiences, you'll be able to figure out how to apply what you want in a more practical sense. All you need to do then is make peace with the fact that you couldn't have exactly what you wanted originally.
To be either misguided or not perfectly handled. A narrative is a fragile thing that can disconnect fans from an episode in a myriad of ways. Whether it's an unnecessary song, an odd name, or switching focus onto a different character than what is natural, pandering can lead narratives or watchers astray, and that's exactly what it did.
If this episode was supposed to be Mare-to-Well 2.0, hate to say it, this episode is 4 seasons too late. Not only that, but this episode insults me for liking a particular type of humor. Avenue Q dedicated an entire song number to why Schadenfreude is a good thing. I'll admit, I like Schadenfreude. I find pleasure in other people's pain. And I agree, there needs to be a limit. But when the episode says that humor is subjective, but you shouldn't partake in another type of humor because some people find it uncomfortable and offensive, it feels hypocritical.
Placement, Big Mac's over-talkativeness, and the reaction to "what are the Wonderbolts" from Rainbow Dash, you can tell that the animators put a lot of effort into the reaction times. And these only serve to further augment the interactions that Starlight Shimmer has with everybody. But as the episode goes on, I have to say this is probably my least favorite behavior from Twilight. She blatantly ignores different friendship lessons she's had in the past and tries to apply her own idea of friendship to somebody else. And when she gets confronted by Starlight about how she feels, Twilight is more concerned about how she's going to look in front of the other princess than Starlight's feelings.
Some of you are gonna say, that seems a little hypocritical, doesn't it, considering I like Rainbow Dash and Trixie? Here's the difference though. Both those characters have every right to be boastful. RT saved Equestria on hundreds of occasions with the Princess of Friendship, is friends with the Princess of Friendship, is in her private court, and is a member of the Wonderbolts. Anyone who wouldn't be boastful in all those situations is a freaking saint.
Operation instead of magic powers to outwit the villain. The design of the hive feels like it was a location built around the concept of the changelings instead of just for them. It has several resemblances of its inhabitants, which lets it feel like a place they would actually settle in. Its atmosphere also has a large scale to it, with wide areas and portals that transport you throughout different locations like a maze. It's certainly not the kind of place you'd want to get lost in. Chrysalis, who's been my favorite villain for a while, is still as much of an enjoyable ham as she was in a Canterlot wedding. She has a desire for power while maintaining a desire to provide for her followers and be a good queen to them. And seeing as how she's not being redeemed anytime soon, if at all, it makes you wonder how she's going to exact her revenge without a large portion of her followers. And my idea for that is there may still be changelings out there who are loyal to Chrysalis and choose to keep love for themselves.
You mean the 3 times this season that we've actually seen her do things, and not just in the background? Okay, Twilight, you're the Princess of Friendship, so your word must be rock solid fact. Once you get past that, though, the first act seems to shift in quality almost completely. There's a lot of elements to enjoy here, like the direction the story takes itself. From my experience, during the first and second acts, mainly the second one, I had no clue where the plot was going.
Bad, but it still stretches the suspension of disbelief very thin. Even if they were to somehow pass a week of trials this way, there would have been much more problems. As we learned in Wonderbolt Academy, you can't choose your wing pony. You get an assigned partner and you can bet that they won't give you your best friend just to be nice. As part of a unit like the Wonderbolts, you have to be able to work with everyone within said unit, not just your favorite partner. Not to mention that the chance of them becoming Wonderbolts at the same time is rather slim. We learned in Newbie Dash that there's only a certain number of Wonderbolts at a time and they have to wait until a slot opens. Or in other words, that some pony retires.
So a lot of speculation regarding what she's capable of if the time comes for her to throw down. Here, we see that not only would she be able to form a resistance against one of the smartest of the villains, but she would also be able to become a legit threat to her. So Red, got anything to say?
Sure do, now that I cleared my head. All I can say is that after watching Zecora throw down with Queen Chrysalis, I'm hoping we get to see more of Zecora in Season 6.